Most people think billions only belong to the elite. But what if I told you the universe does not measure money in billions or in hundreds? It only measures faith. Jared Kushner just closed a $55 billion deal, and while the world sees politics and power, Florence Scovel Shinn would see proof of a timeless law: confidence attracts wealth. Stay with me till the end, because in the next few minutes you'll discover how the same law can turn your smallest desire into unstoppable reality. Faster than you think. When news broke that Jared Kushner, the former senior advisor to President Donald Trump, was working on a $55 billion acquisition deal involving Electronic Arts through his investment firm, Affinity Partners, the financial world stopped and stared. It was not just the size of the deal, one of the largest leveraged buyouts in gaming history, but also the name attached to it. Kushner has always been surrounded by power, politics, and influence, yet this move represented something different. It was not politics, but business at a scale so massive that people immediately began to ask, how is this even possible? Was it luck, connections, or something else entirely? And here's where a deeper perspective begins to emerge, one that Florence Scovel Shinn, the early 20th century teacher of the law of attraction, would have recognized immediately. She often taught that life responds not to begging, but to commanding, not to doubt, but to confidence. Kushner's bold step into orchestrating a $55 billion takeover can be seen not just as financial maneuvering, but as a living example of how confidence commands money. Shinn's timeless wisdom echoes here. Those who dare to claim abundance, who move with unshakable conviction, attract wealth on a scale others only dream about. Florence Scovel Shinn repeatedly emphasized that confidence is not arrogance. It is alignment with the truth that the universe provides when you expect abundance rather than fear lack. In her writings, she described money as something that flows naturally to those who speak the word with authority. Kushner's deal illustrates this in a modern, practical sense. To even attempt a $55 billion acquisition requires not only financial leverage, but also the mental and emotional leverage of certainty. Imagine the psychological posture needed to sit at a table with Saudi sovereign funds, private equity giants, and global corporations, and not blink at numbers that most people cannot even visualize. That posture is what Shinn described as the commanding presence of faith. In her view, the universe mirrors our inner stance. If you stand with shaky knees, life brings shaky outcomes. If you stand tall, declaring wealth and success as if it already belongs to you, the opportunities rush in. Kushner's financial strategies may be rooted in economics and geopolitics, but the underlying vibration is the same as Shinn's teachings. Confidence is currency. Without it, money slips away. With it, doors swing wide open. To some, manifestation sounds mystical or abstract, but the Kushner deal offers a tangible case study. Florence Scovel Shinn argued that words, thoughts, and expectations shape the outer world. She told her students to stop pleading with life and instead issue confident commands. I will receive, I am provided for, I walk in abundance. Now, when you translate this into the world of high finance, it looks like Kushner making calls, securing commitments, and structuring an enormous transaction with the certainty that it will work. Manifestation is not sitting quietly and wishing. It is aligning your mindset so fully with your desired outcome that your actions naturally flow toward it without hesitation. The critics may dismiss it as privilege or power, but Shinn would say privilege alone does not guarantee results. Many wealthy people lose fortunes because they vibrate with fear, insecurity. Success, in her framework, comes when the inner command is clear and unwavering. In Kushner's case, whether consciously or unconsciously, he is acting out the very principle Shinn taught. When you move as if abundance is already yours, the universe has no choice but to rearrange circumstances in your favor. What does all this mean for you, the viewer or reader who may not be orchestrating billion-dollar deals? Florence Scovel Shinn would remind us that the principle is the same, no matter the scale. You may not be acquiring a gaming empire, but you are acquiring opportunities, relationships, and resources every day. If you meet life timidly, apologetically, or fearfully, doors close. If you approach with boldness, confidence, and a sense of divine right, doors open. Kushner's $55 billion deal is not just a headline. It is a mirror showing how powerfully confidence and intention shape outcomes. Instead of saying, I can't afford this, practice saying, money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. Instead of saying, that dream is too big, declare, if it is mine by divine right, it will manifest. Shinn's wisdom was not about one man or one deal, it was about universal law. The same law that Kushner taps into at the scale of billions is available to you at the scale of your own dreams. Confidence attracts money, and faith shapes reality. So the next time you think of Kushner's shocking 55 billion move, don't just see it as financial news. See it as proof that Shinn's law is alive and active. And you can apply it right now to command abundance in your own life. One of Florence Scovel Shinn's most repeated messages was that limitation is an illusion, a construct of the human mind rather than a law of the universe. She taught that when people accept limitation, they unconsciously create a barrier that prevents abundance from flowing in. In contrast, when individuals dissolve those mental walls with affirmations of faith, life begins to respond in miraculous ways. Jared Kushner's $55 billion deal may appear to be a simple product of privilege or influence, but beneath the surface it also demonstrates the breaking of limitations. Consider what most people believe. I could never manage that amount of money. I could never sit in such powerful negotiations. I could never attract investors of that size. These beliefs form invisible cages. Yet when someone steps outside of those beliefs and insists on possibility, the universe opens pathways that the rational mind could never predict. Kushner's move shows that the size of the goal does not matter. The principle is the same. Whether you are manifesting 500 or 55 billion, the law responds to belief, not to scale. Shinn would say that money itself is neutral, and the energy you bring to it is what determines whether it arrives or slips away. For you, the lesson is simple. Stop telling yourself that your dream is too large, and instead affirm that divine supply knows no limits. The final and most important lesson Florence Scovel Shinn would want you to take from a story like this is not to sit in awe of someone else's success, but to apply the principle to your own life immediately. Inspiration without action fades quickly, but inspiration channeled into action becomes transformation. When you see Kushner moving boldly on a 55 billion stage, do not shrink back and say, "That's not my world." Instead, ask yourself, where in my life can I apply the same principle of bold confidence? It could be in asking for a raise, launching a business, pursuing a relationship, or stepping into a new career path. The scale may differ, but the law is constant. Shinn taught that every word you speak is a command to the subconscious, and every command sets forces in motion. So if you want more money, start speaking abundance. If you want love, speak joy. If you want opportunity, speak readiness. The key is to align your inner dialogue with the outcome you seek, and then to move forward as though it is already guaranteed. Action completes the circuit of manifestation. Without action, belief remains dormant. With action, belief becomes visible reality. Kushner's headline-making deal is simply a giant billboard reminding you that fortune favors the bold, and that divine supply always responds to faith-filled action. As we close, remember this: the universe is not measuring how much money you currently have, or how much success you've already achieved. It is only measuring the quality of your belief and the certainty of your command. Jared Kushner's 55 billion deal may seem distant from your reality, but the principle that produced it is the same principle available to you right now. Florence Scovel Shinn would remind you that every word you speak, every thought you repeat, and every emotion you hold is writing the script of your life. If you continue telling yourself, "It's too hard," or "I can't," then the universe simply echoes those words back into your circumstances. But if you begin today with even the smallest affirmations of confidence, "I am provided for. I am guided. I am wealthy in divine substance," you start to unlock doors that logic alone cannot open. The key is to stay consistent, to act as though your desire is already on its way, and to never let fear dictate your steps. Success on any scale, whether it is 500 or 55 billion, follows the same law of confidence and alignment. So take this moment right now as a turning point. Decide that you will no longer settle for small thinking. Decide that you will no longer postpone your abundance to some distant future. The universe responds instantly to faith-filled words and actions, and it is waiting for your command. Remember Kushner's deal not as politics, but as a signpost, proof that boldness attracts resources beyond imagination. And remember Shinn's wisdom as your guide. Life is not a battle, it is a game, and the person who knows the rules wins. So go forward, speak your word with confidence, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to deliver exactly what you claim.